All right, here we go. It is March 24th. I don't know about you guys, but I am loving the sunlight in the late afternoon.
Amen to that.
Oh, God, I hate it when it's dark at 5 o'clock. Just something just evil and sinister feeling about that. Oh, so it makes me feel alive again. All right, let's see what we got going this week. Anybody got anything you want to address right up front?
I do.
All right, go for it.
Helium, iHub. So this past week, we've been doing the 6 o'clock thing, and it's a lot of push on this travel, club, multi-level network. And I'm getting mixed feelings about it. I can see putting the money out on a monthly, but I'm not a big time traveler. I mean, I got a few things on my bucket list. It's not like I'm going to be on the road 4 or 5 months a year. I mean, the way these guys are talking, and I don't know if you've been on it or not, but they talk like life is their travel. Travel is their life.
Yeah.
And that's not me. Now, number of people going on to the network thing, which is the second part of the question to address, is I don't know even that many people that travel all the time. And I live in a pretty nice middle-class area. I know enough people, but do I hear people talking about, I'm on my next trip to this way and I'm on my next trip to that way? So I don't see how that could be even, again. So your turn, your thoughts.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. And I don't want to sound like I'm anti-MLM, but I am anti-MLM. I don't have anything against people that do MLM. Okay, that's not what this is all about. I'm against the core functionality of MLM, at its core. It is a pyramid scam. And, and again, I'm not pointing fingers and saying anybody's a scam artist. I mean, this goes back to the biggest one on the planet is probably Amway. Is it a legitimate company? Sure it is. Does it have legitimate products? Sure it does. But it's just the whole business model. And Amway is probably, the most stellar example of a real true MLM that I know of. Every other one I've ever heard of is they're just moving you from one thing into the next. So and helium is a perfect example of that. Yeah, Roger, go ahead.
If you don't mind my chiming in.
Sure.
When I was in the Navy and young and enthusiastic and married, a friend of ours wanted us to get into Amway, and I said no, but we were socially friends with him, so he invited us over for dinner one time, and to my shock, it was a hijack. I was there to be subject to being shown the circles by somebody that power dressed in a suit, which we were not, and I hated every minute of it until about halfway through the presentation when I saw the light. It was brilliant. It was really genuinely good. And I still to this day believe that the model is amazing. And I could sell it to a lot of people. The problem becomes you become a social pariah. Even if you don't try to sell to your friends, they know that you are somebody that sells a product to friends and family, and you're encouraged to. And my wife and I, new wife, right? Anyway, my wife and I got out of Amway eventually. My wife and I just recently, just a few days ago, were at an event where she hadn't connected with an old friend of hers for a while, social colleague friend. And this person went to this party and she was trying to connect. And very quickly, this person would make small talk and then steer it towards her excitement for her new business. Hint, hint, wouldn't you like to be excited too for your new business venture as part of it? And she did that for everybody. And the talk of the party was, And she was oblivious to it. Everybody talking about steer clear of this person. And now she's pariahed. She's not invited to the next party and she doesn't know it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, there's just something greasy about it. And I had the exact same experience that you did. I had a client of mine that asked if he could come over for dinner, and it had always kind of been out on the table. And he finally called and he says, "Hey, I'd like to take you up on that. When can we meet and, have dinner?" And it was the same thing. It was a blindside hijacking for an Amway presentation. And, I didn't really want any part of it, but I actually signed up because this was a good client, and I didn't want to offend them. I'm like, it's going to cost me. I don't even remember what it was. This was, probably 30 years ago. And whatever it was nothing compared to what this guy was, bringing in. And I'm just like, okay, if that's just the cost of doing business, where do I sign up? But like for me to go out and pitch that to my friends, there's no way in hell I was doing that. Because for one, I didn't see myself as a salesperson. I still don't. I didn't want to be seen as a salesperson, and I still don't. And, so anyway, but over the years, I've seen, God, I don't know, probably 50 of these MLMs come along. And outside of Amway, Amway is the only one that's kind of been consistent with their products over the years. And that's great. It's probably a great company. I know they've made a lot of people a lot of money, and that's great. But all the rest of these guys, they're pitching opportunities to grow their tribe, and then they pull the rug out from under you. And the helium thing is no different. They pitched it with a free helium router, and you would make crypto money, and it didn't cost you anything. And it was like dream come true. All right. And I fell for it again. And it so pissed me off when they pulled the rug on it, because it had been a very, very long time since I, tried to get anybody in on an MLM thing. And it wasn't because it was MLM. It was because it was this helium thing. And I believed in it. And I just wanted to share that opportunity. But I swear it made me feel so greasy when they did that, because now I'm in the middle of all that crap. Roger, yeah, go ahead.
Just to catch me up, I think what you're talking about is recently, as in, I don't know, 3-4 months ago or so, we were all watching a Zoom where you brought up a map. And Craig did this too, where it was a map of where he lived, and we could all claim our router, right? And we all frantically created accounts while we were on the Zoom to create our free thing, right? You're saying they've already gone under?
They didn't go under, but they switched the game up. Like originally it was free. You sign up, you claim your area, you get your free router, and you make money, right? That was the original deal. And that was awesome. I'm like, who would not want to get in on that? So I was screaming it from the rooftops. You got to get in on this before it's gone. This is not going to last. And it was not a real opportunity. It was bullshit.
So how do we get out? Because I did the same thing. And I'll tell you what, I must get 5 texts a day from them talking about this antenna. And I already went on and saw that where the space that I reserved, I don't need an antenna based on their own video. And I didn't even know about you getting ready to say, this is not a good thing, but I'm getting blasted with buy this antenna, buy this antenna, buy this antenna. And I'm like sick of it.
And hold on, before you think I said it wasn't a good thing, that's not what I said.
Okay.
I'm not pulling out of it.
Okay.
Because I want the router. I still have the ability to make money with the router. Okay. The only difference is it's not free, You either pay a monthly fee for it,
Right.
which is like $20, or you can just outright purchase it for 400.
Yeah, I think it's $18.
Yeah, something like that. So I did the $400 purchase. I would have done that anyway, with or without them. I would have gone outside of their organization and bought it, but I would have paid a little bit more.
Okay.
So I'm not getting out of it, but the part that pisses me off is that they lied every step of the way, and they recruited a bunch of people under false pretense. It's still a good thing, but now you're in their MLM community, and now they're going to push everything down your throat that comes down the line. The antennas, the travel club,
The laundry soap.
yeah, anything that comes their way, they're going to force feed you. And God damn it, I should have known better. It was built on an MLM platform, and I really should have known what was coming.
So what's the advice you're saying? If you already signed up, you already got your location, if the router ever gets here, they can't charge you till the router is delivered, I'm guessing.
Supposedly mine has been shipped. I got a notification that mine had been shipped.
Okay.
I got my antenna. I did get an antenna for it. I don't know whether I needed it or if that was just an upsell. I don't know. But I truly believe having one of these boxes and mining the helium is worthwhile.
As long as they pay you for it.
Well, it's not them paying you. You're mining helium, and it's going right into your crypto wallet.
Oh, okay.
And so that part there is not a scam. It's just the way they packaged it. Just they ought to be put in jail.
Yep.
Yes,
It's called a
Roger.
bait and switch. It's actually a criminal action. It is. They could be put in jail if anybody wanted to pursue it. And then the company could be taken over by somebody like you, John Limbacher. And honestly,
No, I want no part of that shit.
John, go ahead, Allie.
No, my point is it is actually criminal what they did. And that they now have access, because I'm getting like Randy, I think I get 3 emails a day. And I'm like, what?
Emails, text messages. It just goes on and on and on. Like I need more of that.
So just my advice is just ignore all that crap. Even opt out of their list if you want to, but get the box, hook it up, and make the helium. That's all I got into it for, and that's what I'm going to take out of it. I'm not signing up for any of the rest of their crap, though.
So let me ask you this big dummy question. You said it goes straight to our account. What account is that? Because I'm with Coinbase and Kraken. So where's it going to go?
You're going to probably need to create a wallet, like a MetaMask wallet, and then it'll just pipe right in there for you.
So I'm going to ask.
Well, they've got the CoinZoom thing.
Okay. Yeah. I don't really know how it transfers in, because I haven't seen that piece of the training yet, but it's mining helium tokens for you, and those go directly to you somehow.
Right.
And once you have them, you can move them and do whatever you want with them. Roger, go ahead.
Roger.
I'm ready for a big John slap down. But I'm just gonna say this thought about crypto for me. And it's separate than my personal thought about my personal interaction with crypto. I've shared with you, I think.
Sure.
Crypto is the parallel of the .com bubble for me, in which I got rich and then got crammed, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not participating in the crypto bubble, but it's a bubble, and a lot of people are making a lot of money, including you, and I applaud that. I see there's 3 categories of crypto in my mind: smart coins, dumb coins, and weird stuff. Smart coins to me are like Bitcoin and other legit coins that are trying to become real currency in the real world. And they may succeed or fail, but it's a gamble and you're gambling on it. And dumb coins are when silly people create silly new coins, haha, as a laugh. And then for some reason, everybody jumps onto them, like Dogecoin, and then they explode, right?
Yeah.
Now, investing in smart coins with basically the e-trade of a crypto exchange and a crypto wallet is already complex for some people, most people. And investing in dumb coins is a bigger gamble, but it seems to me a lot of people are getting hugely rich doing that, or not rich, but they're getting astronomical annualized yield numbers. Why then do we even look at the weird stuff? My third category isn't coins and investing. My third category is participating in some new get rich crypto related tech babble thing that nobody understands, and even the experts struggle with, but the lay people, like, I'm sorry to say this, but if I ask Greg or Ali or Randy to explain how helium exactly works, no fault of their own, they're just not techno crypto experts. I would expect them to have no idea, but everybody's doing it, so I got to get in on it, right? Why even go to the weird when already people are getting, God, it makes Bernie Madoff seem like a pauper, the Dogecoin and smart coin returns. So why even go there? I don't understand that.
Well, there's so many different strategies to it. It's like anything else. Some people are going to win, some people are going to lose. And the more you know about it, the more you learn about it, the more you can navigate it safely. And I think you're absolutely right. I feel like I got dropped back in 1995 in the .com era when that bubble went and the bubble blew up. But I got to tell you, I rode through that very safely. I made money on the upside of it. I made money on the downside of it. And that's the way I'm trying to position myself here in the crypto space. And I'm making money when it goes down. I'm making money when it goes up. And, I didn't go in on the part, like, I think I know what you experienced in the bomb. And a lot of people lost everything in the bomb. I didn't, and this is not because I knew better. It was pure luck. The way I rode through that in the 90s and up to 2000 was pure luck. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. It was, it was not skill set on my part of how I came out of that smelling like a rose. But looking back on it, I learned a lot from that. And I'm just trying to apply what I learned there to this one because it's so similar. It's so very similar. So, but anyway, I know this is not our crypto call, and I know
Try to take you there.
People that, that probably have other stuff. I'm happy to go anywhere you guys want to go, but I don't want to drag you someplace you don't want to be.
I don't want to just bash Gregory's legitimate original question, though.
Sure, no.
This was perfect because I was sitting on the fence and went like, you know what? I see the potential and all about this, but putting $40 out a month and then going out and recruiting people, it took me back to the days of my 3 times with Amway. And it was like, my biggest drawback with Amway was you have to keep meeting new people all the time, because when you get ostracized and get thrown out of the circle that you were doing well to another circle, you end up chasing your tail in the circle. So, yeah. But I'm glad you clarified it, and I'm on track. I'm not going to get into. I'm going to keep with the helium, get my box, get my antenna whenever it arrives, and move forward.
Because that was the original strategy. So just like in marketing, you have an initial strategy and you have to run the course. You can't get derailed with, everything that comes along, because then you'll never get where you're going. You'll never wind up making money. And this is the same thing. Hold the course. You bought it for a reason. Stay with it for that reason, unless you change, if you alter your course, then that's fine too.
Which is a perfect place, based on what you just said, to transition over to this whole new platform that was kind of sort of pitched this past mastermind with, I'm so confused. We barely have learned. I'm going to speak for myself. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say the
just-
same thing though. Hold the course.
Right, exactly. I have just invested in this platform, online business platform known as Kartra, and I am still learning it. And I believe I've learned a lot, but I have a long ways to go. And now, oh, what about this place? It's great and blah, blah, blah. And that's not really, I love him to death, but that's not the message that I want to hear, because you can't expect people to get deep into something and they're learning it and they need help from other experts. And then all of a sudden switch gears on the railroad track and say, over here, I was so confused. I'm like, okay, does this mean I'm in the wrong place now? Does this mean I'm okay?
Yeah,
And
no,
so
I
wanted to kind of talk about that, this versus Kartra, and because I'm not switching, and I'm comfortable where I'm
Follow
at.
the experts and not the marketers.
yeah, I love 95% of Craig. That's the 5% I don't like.
Follow the
And I
experts.
think I know
John.
why. I think I know why he's doing it. My guess is, just like anybody else, if you have affiliates and you have other people that are working with you, or
It's a
new people,
revenue. Yeah.
you want to serve them as well. But I'm not so sure it's serving the entire masses well.
Yeah. Well,
Because it's confusing.
Craig is just like us. He loves to buy stuff. He loves a good sales pitch, as we all do. Right. And he falls prey to guys that are good salespeople.
Sure.
And, you know, he was sold a bill of goods. It's not as easy as what he's claiming, because there's so many things. And like in his transition, he says he loves it and all that stuff, but there's so many things that don't work. Like when you get his emails now, the links don't work.
Right.
You know, there's just a ton of stuff, but you know, and I don't by any means want to bash Craig. He's
No,
great.
not at all. It's just, it was confusing to me as to what the message was.
Yeah,
And-
but if you are on point and you've got something and you're running down a path, you should never be confused by all the clutter in your ear. Don't ever let the clutter in your ear derail you.
I never,
Okay.
never chase whatever the hottest topic is.
Okay.
Always stick to your plan. Always stick to your plan, you know?
Okay.
And what Craig's doing is there's new people coming in who don't have this. So
Okay.
that's the new one that he works with. John, you remember when you first told me about Kartra, it's like, yeah, I tried that. I'm not going to do that. And where am I? All right. I went back and I'm stuck on Kartra, and I walked away from what I knew. And I tried the ClickFunnels route when Craig went there. And man, that confused the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to hear, Tim. Thanks.
Yeah,
Because I was totally confused at what.
No, you've got good things here. John knows Kartra, and it's why it's half the reason I'm on this call every week is John knows Kartra.
Okay.
And if I have a Kartra problem, I know I can ask John.
Got it.
But whatever it is, it doesn't matter what you're on. If you are invested in it, you've decided, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This works for me. It's part of your plan, part of your strategy. If you don't have a solid plan, you don't have a backbone to your business. And you know what happens without a backbone, right? We crumble. You would just be jelly on the ground.
You're a slug.
Yeah, you do not want to be an invertebrate in business. You want to have some backbone. So that's why the A in ACT is so important. The analysis, the planning, the putting together a game plan for what you're going to do, why you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, and then you move into creation. And you just don't alter course. You have something you believe in. You've built it from the ground up. You're not on quicksand. People that are unsure of what they're doing they're going everywhere. They're on quicksand. So you never want to build your business on top of quicksand. It will suck you down every time. You know, there's a ton of great people that I know. They're awesome, but every time I talk to them, they're in a different direction. They're using a different thing. They're trying to do the same thing, but they just keep getting sold a bill of goods over and over and over, and they never wind up getting anywhere. And it's it's like sad. It's like I keep throwing lifelines, but you got to grab a hold. That's the only, and here's another thing. Like I love this analogy. I want you to succeed. I want everyone to succeed, but the level that I will fight to make that happen is limited. It's like a lifeguard. He can swim out to a drowning person, but if that person does not take his instruction, he's going to watch them drown because he's not going to get sucked down with them. And I am very much like that. I will not let people suck the life out of me.
Right.
I like my life too much for that. I tell everybody I value my time way more than money. I can make all the money I want. I can't make more time. So if I spend time with a sinking ship, I can't get that back. At the end, I look at this at the end of my life, when I've got my last hour, whenever that is, and it's coming and I know it, there's a lot of hours I'm going to want back. Mm-hmm. And I want to limit those hours because I don't want any regret at the end. Right. So that's why I like to be happy. I like to work with happy people. If you are a downer, don't plan on me hanging out.
I'm pretty happy, John. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah. No, you guys are great. You're here. You want to,
Can I offer a Moku quick observation?
Sure.
I don't know that Craig conveyed it, but I feel like his old tool, one shopping cart, was like an old BW classic car. Yeah. It got him from point A to point B, and he knew how to push the clutch in and shift the gears, and that was great. And then Kartra showed him what a beautiful E-Class Mercedes could be, how comfortable and how great. And he fell in love with that level of comfort. VW's gone, luxury in, but he wants to, like any good, say, attorney, wants to be driven to and from the courthouse because he's got to be back reading briefs, and he can't do that if he has to drive also. So now he's in the Lincoln Town car in the backseat with the chauffeur.
He thinks he is.
For the record, okay, Craig traded his Mercedes in on a
golf cart.
Infinity. Okay, let's go on a golf cart. For the record, I know that because I've driven his cars.
Yeah. So, absolutely right. But Teresa, yes.
Can I change the subject completely?
Absolutely.
Are we finished?
I think so.
I will not share my helium or Craig comments.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to launch a podcast. I have lots of content and I can easily do my intro, outro, and all that stuff. What I need is help with the technical part. Okay. I am halfway through your presentation, Tim, at Craig's thing with StreamYard. And I just would like to get some input from people who have podcasts and what do you use? How do you get your RSS feeds out there? I'm not even sure what I'm asking. So
okay.
Help.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Why what?
Why are you launching the podcast? Are you clear on the reason why you're doing it?
Yeah.
I have two reasons, probably three.
Okay.
Reason number one is I'm working on my HPL for Toastmasters, and they needed a project. And this is what my project, because it also, I'm double dipping in that one of the modules is launch a podcast. So okay. I'm doing killing two birds with one stone at Toastmasters. My other reason, or another reason, is that I have lots of content that many people have expressed an interest in hearing about. and they are not appropriate to be, I only have so much bandwidth. I can only service so many clients on a deep level. And so I would like to disseminate information to folks who would like to listen to me for free. And this is my way to reach the masses. And if some of them eventually become clients, that's great. If some of them don't, that's great too. Reason number 3, I want to produce content that will eventually, in raw and real, and then eventually convert that content into the proverbial course, book, etc. So those are my reasons.
Okay.
You know how to use Zoom?
Oh yeah. And that's initially I will be recording on Zoom.
Yeah, you can record it. Like I record mine using StreamYard, but I used to do it with Zoom, just like John does this call. And when you get the recording, you get an audio and video. You can separate it. We can take the audio, and that's where you upload it to, places like Podbean. I tell people go to anchor.fm, and John, I could, if she wants, I could do that personally with you, or if John, you want to do on your call, I'll run you guys through setting up an anchor.fm account and how I upload my podcast, because I could do it very easily on video here.
Yeah, that would be cool, Tim. At some point, if you want to do a demo of that on here, that would be awesome.
I mean, it's I use anchor.fm for all of my podcasts. It's free.
Yeah.
And it works, once the audience gets bigger, I'd look to other tools, but that's very easy to do. And it actually goes out to, you can put it out to Apple, you can put it out to, tons of different places. Yeah. And it doesn't cost you.
But the reason that I ask you why, Teresa, wasn't to put you on the spot or anything.
Have a purpose.
Everything that you do in business should be according to your timeline, according to your strategy, and for a purpose. Like if you told me I want to do it for lead gen, okay, I can see the path there. I can see how that connects in. Like I did the podcast thing when Craig offered it with those 2 guys in Arizona. I forget their names.
Yeah, Dave Pratt. Yeah.
I bought into it for a year, but I had a specific purpose with it, and it wound up. It felt very much like a job because I had to do it every week. I had to be at a certain place at a certain time. But my strategy behind it, here's the why that I wanted to do it, and it paid off very well for me because the why for me was I wanted other people to promote my stuff. Like you guys know, I do webinars. I make a lot of money getting people to promote my stuff through webinars out to their audiences. So my idea was if I had because I never really promote other people out to my list. I found that to be very detrimental unless it's really on point. I don't promote too many things to my list. So I figured, okay, here's a way that I could offer something to them. I can put them on my podcast, and then they could put me on a webinar and we could sell my stuff. So that was my going into it. That was my mindset. And I made a list. I couldn't come up with 52, one for every week. So there was several weeks where I just plugged in fluff. And I again, this is what made it feel like a job for me, because those weeks that I didn't have a specific reason to do it, it was an hour of my time I'm going to want back at the end. And I know that. So, but I made a list of all the people that I wanted to promote my stuff. And those were the ones I reached out to. Those were the ones that I put on the podcast. And it was very methodical. And not all of them did it, but enough of them did that it made me enough money off there that I paid for that thing 20 times over, which was my goal. My goal is always to make money. If I'm going to spend any of my time in business, it's for the purpose of making money. I don't build shit and hope that they will come. I never do that. And again, I'm not saying that you're doing something wrong or you got the wrong thought process or whatever. I just want you to think about that, of why you're doing everything you're doing in business. If you're doing it for Toastmasters and it's a personal thing and that's the reason, that's great. That's awesome. But back to business, if we're talking business and we're being serious, I want you to think why you're doing everything. Like a book. If the number one reason I can think of that you would want to write a book is credibility. If you were going into a new industry, people didn't know you, you didn't have any credibility, you couldn't say, hey, look at what I've done here, look what I've done there. The book is false credibility. It's fake it till you make it. You can walk into a room and say, I wrote the book on this subject. And they go, oh, cool, he wrote the book on that, I should listen to him. That is a really good reason for writing a book. Not just to have written a book. That's vanity. In business, vanity will get you nowhere. You have to have a purpose and all that. Now, that all being said, as far as it comes down to the how-to, you probably have the best guy on the planet on this call to answer that, Mr. Tim Gillette. So that would be like, plug you two together and he could probably give you everything you want to know about how to implement that. All I'm saying is have the strategy. So when you go to Tim, he's going to put a bunch of money in your pocket.
That would be the plan.
And with anything, if you decide that you need a book, find the book guy and go to them with the strategy that's going to make you money and let them implement it for you. Let them pour the money in.
I participated in 4 books. I co-wrote 2.
Okay.
And I have not promoted them. And now the information is old.
Yeah.
So now I need, version 2.0.
But again, you're building with the hopes that they'll come. And that to me hasn't been a good strategy for me personally. Hasn't worked for me because I've done the same thing. I did like 2 or 3 of the co-author books. And I don't even know, like, if you asked me why I did it, I couldn't tell you. I didn't need the credibility, certainly. It probably was just vanity, but it didn't make me any money. And it's going to be one of those things of like, why did I do that? And if I would have just asked myself that in the beginning, I probably wouldn't have at this point. Looking back, hindsight is always 20/20. So the more you can, the more you can know, and just ask yourself the question of when you're going to do something, ask yourself why. Like Randy, he's still on here. The question of why would I shift gears off of Kartra and change up everything? Why? And if he can't come up with a good reason, then there isn't one.
John, when you say build it, you don't want to build it and hope that they come. How do you, that sounds like the description of I'm building a landing page and a sales funnel and an automated marketing method, all on platforms that do that and have a history of being successful at that. But you can't know ahead of time whether something's going to work. You'd be Nostradamus otherwise. There's got to be a modifier to that, or a deeper explanation of build it and hope they'll come. Well, that is what everybody does, is they build a business and they hope they'll come based on strategies and practices that have proven successful over time, maybe with your own spin on it. But I'm a little puzzled as to how what the deeper meaning of don't build it or only do it if you know they're going to come kind of a thing.
Okay, that's a perfect example for that. And I know most of you have probably heard this story before, but I'm going to tell it again because it's so important. Like when I was doing SEO for companies, I went to speak. I knew a group of women wanted me to come speak to them about SEO. I knew they couldn't afford me. So as a charity thing, I'm going to give them an hour of my time. I'm going to go talk to them, knowing they can't afford me, knowing it's going to be frustrating because they're going to want it and they can't afford it. And I thought, and I told Barb too, I said, hey, I decided what I'm going to do with these women. I'm going to go tell them all about SEO, and then I'm going to sell them a do-it-yourself program where I can just show them how to do it. That's what I'm going to sell them. And she looked at me and she said, you don't have a program like that. And I said, that's right. And I'm not going to build one either unless they buy it. So I did just that. I went, I spoke to them. I was right. They all loved it. They knew they couldn't afford, what I charged commercial clients back then. And I made the offer. I said, it's $297. It's an 8-week program. And I was totally upfront with them. I said, this doesn't exist. If you want it, I will build it for you. Not I've built it and then, hey, would you like it? It's if you want it. And something about that, when you do things in that way, they see that you're going to actually do something for them to their benefit. That's a much bigger incentive for them to buy something that's already existing that you're just trying to push on them. It's a different approach. So the majority of these women in the room put their hand up and said, yeah, I'll buy it. I said, I have order forms right here. And it was just a generic order form. It was just a sheet of paper that they could put their credit card information on. I didn't really have anything. I put very little effort into it because I didn't know if they were going to buy it. Once they bought it, I was like, holy shit, now I got to build this thing. I had no idea how to do it. I'd never done an online video in my life. I had no idea how to do it, but I gave myself like 3 weeks to figure it out. I said, it's going to start, X first on Monday. I gave myself like 3 weeks to get my shit together. And I built it as we went. It was 8 weeks. I gave them a module on Monday. We did a Q&A call on Friday. This was long before Zoom. We're talking, 12 years ago. And what did I do with the crypto club? I pre-sold it. It didn't exist. If nobody bought it, do you think I would have built it? No. I had 30 people sign up before I even put the membership site up, before I even had a landing page. It takes me about...
Nowadays, you can do the same thing you did, and with Kartra, you can just put a link in a product and say, here it is, sign up, pay first, and then I'll go create the content.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, I can put up a product in Kartra in about 2 minutes.
I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah, we can all do that.
When you did your survey thing, John. All right. I did that with one group that I had the local meetup group. So I put a whole survey in like that, and they told me stuff they wanted. I put it up for the next few months. Sure enough, all of a sudden I got signups because I asked them what they wanted first. And now I got people out who are going to show up next month.
Yeah. Yeah. They give you money to build your own products. It's a beautiful thing. Or you can spend your own time and your own money building products, hoping that they can come or hoping that they will come.
Well, John, you have some really nice products and stuff. I figured I'd build a sales funnel and some landing pages and things like that. You said I'm not supposed to do that until after I build my own site pop program. That doesn't make sense. I'm just trying to be an affiliate essentially.
No, Richard, you're supposed to build all that to go to John's stuff, and he's going to thank you the whole time for doing it for him.
If you don't want to build products, affiliate is the way to go because somebody has already built the products for you. At that point, you just have to find people, just like what I did. I went into that room with all those women, and I made them an offer that I thought they would like, and they did, and they bought it. And if you did that an affiliate level, you wouldn't even have to build it. You just push them across, they get handled, they get taken care of, and you just make the money. there's a lot of ways in business that you can make money, whether you build the products or not. But here's what it comes down to. It comes down to, I'm going to give you a very simple concept here. Money makes the world go round. And sales makes the money that makes the world go round. If you can't conquer sales, you might want to look into another occupation than being an entrepreneur or businessman. It really comes down to that. If you can't sell stuff, it doesn't matter whether it's yours or someone else's. And, I kind of was in that category for a long time, because it wasn't that I couldn't sell stuff. I didn't really want to sell stuff. And when I was younger, I was always the producer of stuff. I built things, and my brother would sell things. He didn't want to build them. He was too lazy for that. I wonder where I learned this laziness business. It was probably from him. So he would sell stuff and I would build that stuff, and we would split the money. And I never had to deal with people. I never had to deal with sales. I was just in my own little bubble, and I just built whatever he could sell. We had a going bet. If you can sell it, I can build it. I built some stuff that you guys probably wouldn't even believe. Like, if anybody's been to Universal Studios in Florida, and you see the 25-foot letters spelling out Universal Studios that spans a city block, I built those letters because he sold it to him. I mean, this is like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, this is like 35 years ago. I was a teenager, and I built that Universal Studio sign because he sold it to them. We were in a fiberglass manufacturing business that we started. I was 15 and he was 20. And, I built all kinds of stuff, boats, cars, planes, you name it. If he could sell it, I had to build it. and it was, so, and then I kind of went into the photography world from there, because I didn't like, the dirtiness of fiberglass. I kind of got sick of that within a few years, and I moved into that. And he had so many connections that he was connecting me with companies all over the country that needed photography. So again, I didn't have to sell the stuff. He was just feeding me clients one right after another, and I'd give him some of the profit back. And then, I connected with a big commercial studio, and I started giving the girls behind the counter commissions. I'd be giving them $100 bills every week that I walked in there. I'd be handing out $100 bills to the counter staff for sending me commercial clients. And again, I didn't have to make the sales. I figured out a way that I didn't have to make the sales, and I got referred. And what am I doing today? I'm getting on people's webinars. They're referring me to their people. It's been throughout my entire lifetime. I've positioned myself to not be a salesperson, but I get sales. I got them handed to me. So, and it's sales that makes the money that makes the world go around. If you can't figure out how to get sales in your business isn't going to go anywhere. Whether you do the sales or whether you hire salespeople or something, you've got to figure out a way to make sales. All the rest of the stuff is just ancillary. It's just tools to help you make sales. Kartra is an automation tool to walk people through a sales process to automate the way sales are made. Why do you think I love that so much? I don't have to do the selling.
That's the point, John. You have to build it though before you can make the sale with it.
But you can pre-sell stuff before you've made anything. It's like, if you haven't proven out the sales model, if you haven't proven that like, even as far as asking people, like if you were in a group of people and you thought, hey, these people are likely to buy this, you can just ask them, say, hey, if I had this, if I build this for you, what would you commit to? Like I saw my brother do that all day long. He would be talking to companies and say, hey, if we could build this for you, how many would you take? And he'd write the freaking order up. And then I'd build them. I didn't build them in hopes he could sell them. You get the difference? If you don't have anything, if you can't sell before you build, then you build before you sell. And then what happens if you can't sell it after you've built it? You've got a whole bunch of time and money invested and you don't have any money. It's hard to pay the bills that way. In business, people go to trade shows. And I say this all the time. Look at what happens in the real world. You go to trade shows to do what? To take orders for things that you haven't built yet. I spent a lot of my younger years in trade shows. I got to see this every day. You went to trade shows to book orders. Then you went back and you built the stuff and you shipped it and you get paid.
But you still built the trade show booth.
Correct. You had to show something, but what did I have when I walked into the group of women? I had nothing. I had a PowerPoint presentation showing them something I could do for them. That was all I built for them. I didn't build the actual thing. I didn't have all the stuff that I now have because the model was proven. So if you can build it once and then sell it over and over and over, I have no problem at all with building stuff or putting time into building. But you get the idea of, like, if you look in the real world, a lot of times there's a lot of products that are pre-sold before they're built. The pre-order thing, it's out there. And if you haven't seen it, you might just not have known what to look for. Like, I don't know, like I've been in so many different categories of business, between businesses that I've been in personally and businesses that I've been in on the sidelines working for other companies, either in the photography business, in the web business. I've done work for a tremendous amount of companies in a tremendous amount of different categories. And I see the same thing in almost all of them. They're going out, they're spending money. Yeah, they're doing stuff. Like if you go to a trade show, yeah, you're right. You got to build a booth. You have to show up, with your stuff, but you're not building inventory. You're not building, whatever it is that you're going to sell. You pre-sell it. Sometimes you'll make a prototype just to show it.
I'll build you a car. Look just like that. Just saying.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is you don't have to have things done to be sold. Everybody gets this idea that I've got to be perfect. I've got to be done. I've got to be complete. I've got to be finished before I can do anything. That's bullshit. You can sell and then create. Roger, go ahead. We can't hear you.
Thank you.
There you go.
I hear every word you're saying, and I love basking in that utopic vision that I could sell before I build. And I do agree, there are situations, companies, and super people that can do that. John, you're clearly in the super people class. The question becomes, somebody that is knowledgeable, but otherwise, and I'm not saying specifically me, I'm just saying generally, I don't think a lot of people, like, I would want to know they have the thing first. I just don't know that I would give them the credibility to purchase before they built.
I bet you that comes down to the confidence that's conveyed. And again, sales. No salesperson is effective if they're not confident. If they're not confident, they're not instilling that belief in the other person that they can do it.
also the relationship, like if John said, if he took a poll and said, what do you guys want? Like he did with crypto. And we all said, because we know him, we love him, we trust him. So there's the relationship. So he said, I'll build it if you guys want it. We all said yes, because we know him. So that's the pre-sell is kind of underneath that idea is the relationship has already been established, or you're, you know, you have word of mouth credibility where like I would recommend Teresa, you know, because she's an expert, you know, and Tim, because he's an expert, like you guys, who, if you, in your specific niches, if I come across somebody, I'm going to send them to the people I know that, because I already know you, trust you, and love you. So, and then people love me and they don't know what they're doing, so they would trust me. So I would, anyway, that's.
But yeah, it's like I've done it over and over and over, whether, you know, it was my brother selling the stuff or me selling it, or, you know, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe rephrase things in different words, because I think it's sell it first and then build it. That's maybe catching some people. And it's really a simple concept. Ask people what they want and then give it to them. Mm-hmm. And so it's about market research and having enough data, enough evidence to know what it is that they want, why do they want it, what problem are you solving, you know, what tolerations, frustrations, fears, problems, challenges do they have, and what are their dreams, goals, desires, and wants, and is the method of delivering that going to give them the results that they want. So that all can be done with surveys. It can be done with interviews. Like the big car companies, I remember getting handed $100 bill to go and check out these concept cars for GM. It was super fun. And, you know, you got to see these things first, but we filled out these extensive surveys. And then like 3 years later, it was built. So they weren't selling the cars then, but they were getting enough research up front to confidently build it.
That's the A before the C. The analysis before the creation. I'm telling you, I didn't just cook this thing up in my head. I watched this happen in ad agencies for years. It is the way they all operate.
Yeah, just one more quick thing. As an example, I've been sitting down for 4 to 6 hours with people and creating a comprehensive business plan, strategic marketing plan for people. And there's probably 20 different steps. And it takes a lot of my time. I get paid well for it and it adds tremendous value. But I also have a group coaching program. So I made those 20 items topics for my group coaching program and recorded it on Zoom. And now I'm building that as an information product in Kartra. And part of the market research for that is there's been maybe half the people that I do a free coaching for don't sign up because they can't afford it. But if I have an information product, I can price it as a downsell. And it's once it's built, it's zero effort to deliver that to people.
Yeah, so as you create the stuff, like you're building your business, right? You're figuring out what people want. You're figuring out a sales process. Like Jim said, he's building these pieces, and then you can repurpose those pieces. Like you can take a video, turn it into a podcast, have Tim blow it out all over the podcast directories. You can take the video, you can blow it out all over the video directories. You can turn it into PDFs. There's directories that people go to find PDF files. There's all these different places where you can repurpose that content. And now you've moved into the T part. You're in the traffic. You know, traffic is always on the end. So you do your analysis, you pre-sell, you build, you make money there, and then you magnify it with traffic. I see so many people go the ass backwards. They think they need traffic it's the last piece. But hopefully that makes sense. I've struggled to find a successful business that operates outside that pretense. And a lot of times it's confidence. In many cases, it's confidence. Like my brother, he didn't go into those meetings saying, well, yeah, I have a brother. I think he can build this shit for you. He did not do that. He went in and he said, I've got a guy that can do anything and has proved it over and over and over. There's nothing that we can't do. And he said it with absolute conviction. And they believed it. And luckily, I could always come through for him. But it's all about confidence. If you don't have confidence, you're not going to convey that confidence when you talk to people. And if you're not conveying that, if you convey confidently what you're doing, people will want it if you're talking to the right people. And all of a sudden now you don't have to do a sales pitch on them. They're asking you, hey, could you do that for me? That's the way I do sales. I don't go in and say, hey, I can do this for you. I tell them what I'm doing for others and how it's benefiting them. And then they ask me if I could do that for them. That's the kind of sales I like. Like when I go into a webinar, I'm not really hard selling them. I'm showing them what I'm doing and they all went in on it. Yeah, I make them an offer at the end because I have to. But, if you position yourself that way, and it's all about confidence. When was the last time you heard me say something not confidently? There's a few occasions when I really don't know, and I will just flat tell you that. And I'll try and direct you to somebody that I think might. So, somebody said I was on the superhero side or something of something, and it's probably just because of the confidence. That's all it is. It's not that I'm any better than anyone else. I'm not. We're all the same. It's just how you present yourself. Remember, a presentation is how you get sales. Remember, it's grab attention at the front. If you don't have something intriguing to say, you're not going to get the opportunity to present. By the presentation, you're creating demand and desire. How did I say I do that? I tell people what I'm doing for others and how much it's benefiting them. That's how I'm creating demand and desire. I anticipate what their objections are going to be, and I eliminate them before I make an offer. It's a very simple structure of a system, and it never changes. Not once, not ever. How you do the pieces in the middle change only by who you're talking to. You need to be a chameleon so you can relate to that person, or they can relate to you. But the backbone of the system never changes. I can say it a million times, a million different ways, but it's the same. And confidence is that key thread that you need to portray, or no one's going to want to follow you. I mean, think about it. If you had two people that were going down a path and one guy seemed like he knew what he was doing and the other guy didn't know what the hell was going on, who would you follow? Would you follow the guy that seemed like he might fall off a cliff? Or do you follow the guy that throws the shit over his shoulder and says, let's go, this is the way? That's confidence. It's the same in sales. The sales guy that's confident is going to outsell the non-confident sales guy all day long. So your funnels, your pieces, everything that you make, your podcasts, the same thing. If you show up on a podcast and you're not confident, you're just wasting time. If you show up on a webinar or a Zoom call, you are just wasting time. like in Craig's thing, sometimes I'll just sit in the background, I'm doing my work, I'm listening, and sometimes somebody will call me out. They'll ask a question or something. How many times do I get on there and not seem confident? If I don't have something confident to say, I don't say anything.
So John, let me take this back to Teresa's thing. Is she enumerated many reasons for doing a podcast? Tim and a few of our other masterminds are kind of podcast centric experts.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, I consider live casting. I don't know if there's a difference if it's Teresa going true podcasting or more live streaming, but it's interview based, I imagine. Do you think that there's a business foundation that ties to other programs for most people to be podcasters?
Yes, I think if Tim changed his angle just slightly, he would probably 10 times his sales on podcasting. I bet he wants to know what that is.
I do if he doesn't.
Did I say that? Did I say that inconfidently? Did I say, oh, well, there's a remote chance he might make some more sales? No.
Tim had to go find the button to turn the microphone back on to say, yes, John, deliver.
If he changed his angle to anything you've built in your business, you could repurpose the content into a podcast and sell more. Everyone would want what he has now, not just the person that wants a podcast. It just tenfolded his market share.
John just made sure I will listen to this episode at least 10 more times now.
It was just a repositioning in what he does. He's great at what he does.
Say it again, John. What would he do?
He would reposition himself to 10x his market share by taking everyone that builds content, every marketer, every web developer, every person that's doing business online is creating content. Very few of them are creating podcasts. The content they've already created could be repurposed into a podcast, which tenfolds Tim's market share if he approached them in that way, in that manner. Because think about it, if he asks me, hey, John, do you want to do a podcast? I'm like, no, not really. But if he came to me and he said, hey, John, would you like to 10x your market share with stuff you've already got? You've already done it. You just hand it to me. I'll turn it into a different medium and it'll open you up to a whole new market that's never seen you or heard you. Mm-hmm. I'm like, sure, let's do it.
So is that a big idea or is that just the base concept?
That's just a basic concept. That's a basic principle of business.
So then would the big idea be like the niches that you were talking about? Like you went to the dentist and you went to, like, he would niche out?
So a big idea, remember, a big idea is, it's a thing, it's a mechanism, it has a formula. So promise, what's the promise? Take your existing content and get more customers from it with doing almost no effort. I'll do it for you. That's the promise. The delivery mechanism is his super special system of podcasting, whatever it is. It's the thing that delivers the result, right? Remember the 3 pieces: promise, unique mechanism to deliver the result of the promise, and being able to say it in a way that the person has never heard it before. Compelling. It's all formulaic. All the stuff. It's just a recipe book. If you follow the recipe, you'll bake a delicious cake every time.
My recipe for the past 2 years, believe it or not, has been, I've not created any new content in 2 years. I haven't.
Yeah, you just repurpose.
No, I interview Teresa, I interview John, I interview Roger, I interview you. And then I say to you, hey man, here's a copy of it. All right. If you want, share it out with your friends. You got my permission to do whatever you want with it. I interviewed Dr. Fab Mancini yesterday. Man, you don't know how many people have come to listen to that podcast because he shared it out.
Yeah.
I didn't teach anything new. I just asked him questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Tanya Hoffman the same questions in about an hour.
And then what do you do with that?
I actually, I put it on my YouTube channel, put it out on an audio podcast, but my biggest thing to them is getting them to go share it. I sent an email. I have an automated email system done with Kartra that, hey, John, remember that interview we did yesterday? By the way, your video is up on my YouTube channel today. Again, you have my full 100% permission to share that content, do whatever you want with it.
And once they share it, what happens for you? What benefit does that do for you?
I get more people to interview.
I
don't
think
have to create any
Richard's,
more content. I just use their content and grow my audience by interviewing them.
I think Richard's question is, how do you make money?
Almost everything in the that I have, if you ever find links in any of my descriptions, it's all my affiliates.
So Richard, Tim is he's spreading his wings in all directions in order to make affiliate sales. So he's probably like me. He doesn't like to sell stuff. So he's making it easy. He's planting seeds all over the planet. And he's watering them. He's getting other people to water them by spreading it.
Does his affiliates program somehow relate to the people that he interviews?
Yeah.
So like if I interviewed John, automatically the links for John for the ACT program. You know what I mean? And whoever went in and signed up for it, I would get a fee for doing it. That's why I love to interview people with affiliate programs. And when I started doing it, I didn't think about that until the time I interviewed Larry Wingett. And the night before, I'm researching stuff on Larry Wingett, and I find this program that he's selling. So I grabbed the affiliate link, and I put it in that was when I was on Blog Talk Radio. I put that thing in there, and Larry said to me that morning before we went live, so I guess you're promoting that program because I see you sign up for the affiliate program last night. I'm like, hey, if I can make a buck off of it, I'm going to do it. Why not? So
I don't know if you just fell into that, Tim, or if you pre-planned and pre-engineered that, but what you're doing is you're creating a promotional piece for that person to sell their own product to their own people, and you get the affiliate commission.
Yeah.
So you don't even need a list for that.
No.
You don't need to prospect. You don't need to lead gen. You don't need to do any of that stuff. You're contacting a person of authority that has a following. You're offering to create a nice promotional piece for them for free, and you plug your affiliate link into it when they promote their own stuff.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
But also, but the flip side is I interviewed Teresa this week. Well, I got 2 people who started following me because of that. I interviewed Roger next week. Roger's people see the link that I had for Teresa's stuff because they just happen to be looking at one of my other podcasts and they click it. They buy Teresa's stuff. I make money off of Roger's audience as well. And again, I didn't create any products yet. All I did was interview them.
Yeah, and got them to promote it and sell it for him.
Yeah. So, and then like the virtual summits, like, the whole thing of the virtual summits is I always ask the people who can teach on my virtual summits something I can get from them. But, it's like, John, how many times I ask you, hey, John, can you come speak? Why? Because I can put a link very easily to John's stuff because I've got his affiliate program.
Yeah. So you can create successful business models out of thin air. That's the cool thing with low to no overhead. There's no overhead, but very low overhead in the online space.
But if you do want a guitar, I'll make you a guitar just like this one. All right. It's only, $497. I'm taking orders today.
There you go.
I had fun, but I told somebody, I forget who it was. I was talking to him that, after I said during the pandemic, one of the things I was like learning things and like, you talk about creating a sell it before you create it. I didn't want to create a product to sell, but I bought these 2 guitars because I wanted to figure out how guitars work. So I bought kits and put them together to figure out the process. And someone said to me, hey, can you make me one? Sure. $497. I paid $197 for the kit and all the stuff I have here already to put it together. I just got to paint it and stain it or do whatever and assemble it.
Yeah. See, that happens. What he just said right there was somebody saw him do something and they asked him if he could do it for them. The more you can spread out and let people see what you're doing, and they will want you to do it for them. But you have to create the demand and desire, and that's in showing them what you're doing, showing them what it did for others, showing them what, and they see themselves in the picture. When they see something good, they automatically paint themselves into the picture, and then they see you as the unique delivery mechanism to make that happen. That's creating demand and desire. The best way to create demand and desire is to show them how, show them what you did, and they will want you to do it for them. Sure, there'll be a couple of people that just go off and do it on their own. No big deal. They would have done that anyway. But there's a lot of people that they will want to jump on the bandwagon. A lot of people don't like to be the one that goes through the wall first because you get bloody going through the wall. You know, they talked about on the crypto class last week that they were so happy that I was the one that was going through the wall, getting bloody for the whole group, you know, and it's true, you know, the front runner always takes the hits. He's going to be the one in the learning curve. And then the people behind him get the benefit of not having to go through the wall, not having to bang their head.
The trailblazer is always the one with the arrows.
Yeah. And the other people, they're not willing to get the arrows, but they're willing to follow when the curve is gone. So there's a lot of money in removing the curve for people. People want the easy button. You know, we all want stuff, but what we will do to get it is two different things. You know, there's a lot of people that would not go out and invent things, right? That's why you've got inventors, and then you've got producers, and then you've got buyers. A lot of times an inventor is not a good manufacturer. You know, sometimes they try and play that role and they fail because manufacturing is business. And a lot of times an inventor is a very creative. They're an artist. They're not a businessman. So they know how to create. They know how to invent. They've got that creative part of their mind. So once they've created that, then they, you know, the smart ones will hand it off to the manufacturer and say, can you make this? And then they'll hand it off to their sales team. You sell this. Everybody has their place in the food chain.
But yeah, Roger, to put together what you and I do, all right, I love Van Halen, all right, to put together with you, everybody wants some.
So the place where the entrepreneur fits into this, the entrepreneur is the guy that kind of walks the tightrope down all of that. He's got some business skills. He's got some inventive skills. He's got some marketing skills. He's got some sales skills. And he's the guy that can put it all together. That's an entrepreneur. So a lot of times you'll have an inventor and he tries to be an entrepreneur and he's not. And, you know, I know several people that have invented some phenomenal stuff and they couldn't make money with it. They died broke. Great.
Coca-Cola died broke.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff. But you either need to, if you're not the entrepreneur and you can't, you know, you got to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And what you do is you focus on your strengths and you supplement your weaknesses with people that are strong there. You know, that's about building a team. So like for me, I am not strong in HTML. I am not a web designer. So I have built a team that does that. That team couldn't sell the sites I sell to save their life, but I can. I couldn't build those sites like they build them to save my life. But together we can form a relationship where we can all make money. So know your strengths and supplement your weaknesses with people that own those strengths. That's, the best advice I could give as far as that. Don't try and do everything yourself. Like, Kartra is awesome, but do I want to build Kartra? No, I want to just partner with them. I just want to go and use their products to supplement that weakness I have. Now I'm strong. I have Kartra. I am strong in that. I can have a landing page. I can have a product. I can have an order form in minutes because I've supplemented my weakness with a strength. So that's part of that SWOT analysis. That thing I talk about doing every year is looking at your strengths, looking at your weaknesses, looking at your opportunities, and putting it all together. What was the one I missed? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, the threats. That's the T. Look at the threats, the competition. Are you moving into something you can't win? Those are threats. So you look at that from a business perspective. And, I talk about doing it once a year. You should probably do it a lot more often. What are your strengths? Focus on those. What are your weaknesses? Find people to plug the gaps. What are your opportunities? That's what you should focus your strength on, is taking advantage of those opportunities, and watch out for the threats. Avoid the threats. Don't move into a marketplace that's overloaded. That goes back to your analysis. So, the more you're subjected to this conversation, that you'll start layering on the pieces of everything you need to understand how to just look at the world. Like, I have a very unique set of goggles when I go out and look at the world. And I think most people don't see the world like I do. But the more layers of filter you can put on these goggles, you'll learn every time. Every time I go out my front door, I am learning. I'm looking at what is going on out there. What do people want? How are they getting it? How are people advertising? What are they doing? What are they building? Why? I'm always asking why. So don't ever be offended if I ask you why. I'm just trying to learn. Because maybe you know something I don't, and the only way I'm going to find it is if I ask why. Maybe by asking why, I can alert you to a threat that you didn't see before. A question of why is very important. Like, you ask, what does somebody want? That's one thing. But now you ask why. Why do they want it? Takes you to a whole new world. Why they want it is way more important than what it is that they want. And when you're building your marketing materials, when you're creating that demand and desire, if you're able to speak to the why they want it, you will be way more effective than just talking about what they want. And even more effective, talk about how they get it. That way they can start painting themselves into that picture of seeing that they already have it. And then they're going to want it even more. That's what that Frank Kern talks about, results in advance. Give them results in advance. Give them the steps to actually start taking toward getting what they want. The closer they get to it, their demand's going to go through the roof, and the amount that they'll pay to go the rest of the way goes right along with it. So,
Hey, am I still on you? Hey, John, I'm looking at stuff, setting up stuff for Tanya, and what she put in for her website for me was my name, timgillette.beconnected.com. Is that supposed to be the affiliate link, or is that just?
That's your affiliate link for Be Connected.
I thought so. I usually don't put the affiliate in their broadcast link. I put it in the. I actually have a way of taking I use a thing called Pretty Links, and I will take timgillette.com/act program.
Yeah.
All right. And then I'll just put that goes to my affiliate link for your act program.
Yeah, that's a much better way to do it. But what she's looking at there, when she sends somebody to Be Connected through your link, then you're automatically tracked. So at any time in the future, if they make a sale or they make a purchase, you'll get credited for it.
Uh-huh.
So she's trying to get them onto the home page, but a pretty link would do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't, when I put it up on the screen, I don't put mixed links on my screen. I like to put a simple, easy link.
Yeah, and that is definitely the right way to do it, because what would happen if somebody was looking at that and they saw, the timgillette.beconnected.com, they're going to disregard the Tim Gillette part. They're just going to go type in beconnected.com, and then that cuts you out. By doing the pretty link, it eliminates their ability to cut you out, because they don't know what the link is until they've been forwarded to it, and then it's too late.
Yeah.
It's a mousetrap. The other one is what Perry Belcher calls having whiskers behind the cheese.
Yeah.
It catches much less mice. You got to remove the whiskers off the cheese if you want the mice to take the cheese.
Yeah. It's like for my podcast, that's the where she put that in. It's not when I put that up on screen, they're going to type in beconnected.com. They're not going to type into Tim Gillette.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you should definitely give her a pretty link before you.
Well, no, I'll put it up on screen when she does. Like when you're interviewed on my show, I put your website up, and I like a simple, easy one to broadcast up on screen. All right. When I do the show description, the link that's on the show description, that link is my affiliate link every time.
Yeah.
But when they say it, because there are people, like I said, you say it on the audio, they're going to go like Tim Gillette, and they're just going to type in it'll stop and just go beconnected.com. So
yeah, you can have a lot of slippage on your affiliate commissions if you don't do that.
So, by the way, John, another one of my email addresses in Kartra went down as a flagged one, and it was the one that I went in and switched my account for you. So somehow or another, when I switch my account for you, that email address within 2 weeks ends up as a what do they call it? Not blacklisted. What do they call it in there in Kartra?
Oh, well, there's blacklisted. There's a couple of different.
I'm going to go find out what it is and look at it and tell you.
Yeah. If you send them a support ticket, they'll whitelist you.
Okay.
Which I have to do that all the time for customers, is go in and whitelist them. They'll say it's a hard bounce or a soft bounce.
Yeah. And that's the third one that when I switched it for your platform, John, that it's yours, not anybody else's, it's yours. So something to do with my email address in your system. I don't know whether it was you or how it got that way, but it's when I put it in your system is where it hit 3 times in a row.
That's interesting, because
I wanted to make sure you know that I found that out in case something happened in your system.
I'm going to talk to them about that, because my John at internetdominators.com, that email does not bounce.
Yeah.
And I just looked yesterday, and it's blocked for a hard bounce.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is my email address hard?
That's what it is. That's my email address I use for it, is what's in what I put into your system for you to email me.
Yeah.
And that's the third one because I have several emails. That's the third email address, because I went and changed the email address in your systems. And that's the third one that ended up bounced.
Huh. All right. I'm going to talk to them and find out what's going on with that.
If you look in your system, I think you will find my email address is bounced in your system, because I'm not getting emails from you again.
Huh. Okay.
I just happen to have the link saved to show up here.
Yeah. I will
change the link because I know it now.
I will check it out.
You're trying to get rid of me. It didn't work.
No, I'm not getting them either.
I know.
I'm not even getting my own emails out of Kartra.
So you can put a support ticket, and in the support ticket say, list the email addresses that aren't supposed to be bounced. Is that right?
Yes. You can say these email addresses are valid email addresses that need to be whitelisted.
All right. And that's in the support.
And yeah, if you go into Kartra, into the support, and you got to do a couple of clicks in there. They don't make it easy to get to the back end of their support to put a ticket in.
Oh. My dashboard, my products, my communication, my page, my forms.
Let me get in there and I'll show you where it is. Because it's not okay, I'll share the screen here. Okay, so see they have the little support button up here.
Mhm.
So you click on that, and then you have to go down here to contact us. And then you got to go all the way to the bottom, submit ticket. And that's how you open up a support ticket for them.
Okay.
So it's not the easiest thing to find if you haven't found it yet. And I think that's by design.
And you say, what do I call them? They need to be whitelisted.
Yes, tell them that these are valid emails from your customers that need to be whitelisted.
Okay.
And they usually do that within 24 hours.
I have a few of them there, so I know that are that way.
Yeah.
So I actually, people signed up yesterday and immediately, like within signing up to be on my podcast sequence, they're automatically hard bounced.
Yeah. And the other thing I found too, if you want to know, like instead of you going through your whole list, last time what I did with them is I said, hey, I see quite a few people that I can't get email to. Can you tell me why? They'll run you an Excel spreadsheet of everyone in your account and the reasons why. And when they do that, they automatically find the ones that are mistakes and they clear them. And they'll put that right on there that this one's been cleared. And then you can go through and look. And a lot of times it'll be, just typos. So you can go in and fix them. You can go into your Kartra account, fix the typos. Like I've had several that they forget the G in Gmail. So I go in, I put the G in the Gmail, and then I go, okay, it's fixed now. Go ahead and clear it. And they'll send a test. If it doesn't bounce, then they'll whitelist it.
Okay.
So anytime, and it doesn't matter, Kartra or any email program, it doesn't matter who it is, keeping it clean and whitelisted is always an ongoing thing. You'll always have trouble with email deliverability, no matter how you slice it. It's just Kartra makes it easy because they show a little red dot. If there's a problem, here's the red dot. You roll over it, it'll tell you why. And like Janie has trouble getting email from me in Kartra, and I found out that on the end of the email, here's another trick in Kartra. When you do an email out of Kartra, it puts an automatic unsubscribe at the bottom of the list.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then if they hit the unsubscribe, there's like a couple of choices. And one of the choices is this is spam. So I think Janie accidentally hit that. And then now I cannot send to him or to her. I can't even get her whitelisted. She has to send into Kartra and say, this was a mistake. I really want to receive email from John Limbacher. And then they will clear that for her.
Right. Good example.
Yeah. But what you can do to kind of prevent mistakes like that, and I'm doing this now, I didn't do it in the beginning. And I don't know why, because I've always done it in all my old email programs. At the end of your signature in your email, you put about 10 blank line spaces. So what it'll do, it'll push that unsubscribe down way out of the way. So they would have to scroll down to find the unsubscribe. And it'll eliminate a lot of mistakes. Because a lot of times people just get to the end of an email and just click. They hit the end and click for some reason.
In Kartra, can you, on that unsubscribe page, can you, I've been unsubscribing from a lot of emails because I get too many, and I'm actually, everybody's asking me to pay for storage now. So I'm trying to get rid of everybody that I don't really, you know what I mean? So on some email unsubscribes I hit, and there's a ton of reasons, and it's super confusing, but and then others, they give me like 3 or 4 options, like get it once a week, once a month, or oh, well, you never want to hear from me again. Some of them are cute, but can you do that in Kartra with when somebody does hit the unsubscribe page? Because when I get an option,
I don't think you can change theirs. They do that to protect their system. Other
because when I get
systems,
an option, like if somebody says, well, like if I got one email a month, I wouldn't mind, but like helium, like 3 times a day, I'm ready to
yeah,
lose
you're
it.
done.
Yeah. So and then I thought, well, before I unsubscribe from them, this was a helpful conversation in the beginning because of what you shared. But anyway, I just wanted to know if you could customize that unsubscribe page. All right. Thank you.
I don't know if you can or not. You can find out if you go up on the right under your profile. It's got email notifications, and there's a whole bunch of them. If you're going to find it, you're going to find it there. Roger.
Hey, John, I was going to mention about the periodicity of email. I get a lot of emails from some various coaches whose lead magnets I've signed up for just to see what they're delivering to me. Sure. And then I actually rarely unsubscribe. I have probably 20 signed up, and I just created Gmail filters that anytime they come in, they get dumped into a coach's folder. And I let them go. But there's some that I actually want to see in my inbox. They're my priority people, Johns and Craigs and some others.
Tim.
And the periodicity of their emails, one of them in particular, they send long ones often, a lot. And I'm like, if you think you have to send me a long email multiple times a day in the same day, we're just not connecting somehow. And I like the coach, but what's with that feeling of every day, multiple times a day, long emails? Whoa.
Yeah, there's no good reason for that. It's ineffective, and it's their inability to accept that.
His name's not Paul Fink, is it? No, I'm kidding. Paul doesn't do that. I'm just joking.
Is there an effectiveness to it that if you can, some people will unsubscribe, perhaps, obviously, but if they don't, they get engagement that a dribble of once a week doesn't get? Or is there some reason for it?
I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from the long form sales letter, and they're just using it in the wrong way. Like online, long form sales letter really doesn't work online, because the only place it'll work is on a sales page. If you've got them to that point and they're actually learning enough stuff in the thing, they'll stay. But there's, you have to have bolded headlines every, not very far apart, because they've got to be able to skim the bold and keeps re-engaging them with the next thing, keep them and keep them and keep them. But in an email, I don't see that as being effective in an email, because you can't have all the graphics and everything to really pull it off there. It's, what I try and do is I try and keep the email to a teaser. Remember, attention grabber, big idea concept, get them to click, get them to move off of that, get them over to, either a sales letter or opting into something to show more interest, and you move them through the process. But those long sales letters in an email, I don't see that as really being effective unless they're really, really good. And one thing that I have, you're talking about folders where you compartmentalize people's email. I have a folder that's called copy. And then I have subfolders in there of different categories of copy. And when somebody sends an email that's got really good copy, I mean, it like makes you want to click. It makes you want to engage. I will slide it over into the appropriate folder, and it's kind of like building my own swipe file. So later on, when I have something in that category, I'll go to that folder and I'll say, oh, who can I steal from? And just edit their copy to match what I'm doing.
So I have a feeling that even though it really doesn't work for me, but I'm detached one level from the perfect customer for this coach. But I like their stuff enough that I won't unsubscribe. I'll just sit there and just, face palm every day. But I have a feeling that if you like the coach enough, whatever coach it might be, if you like them enough that you won't unsubscribe, that, and you are right there in their perfect client list, that maybe that creates a sense of top of mindness that eventually you will engage, because the email structure is designed so that you don't have to click off and go to their page. Everything you could possibly want to know is there in that long email.
Yeah, I don't know. I just look at that as it's just abusive. That's my feeling about it. I mean, I've got people like Frank Kern, for instance. He's a perfect example of this. He sends so much email that at some point I become blind to it. I see it and just, okay, I've seen it.
And yet you mention him often.
I do. I love reading his stuff because every time I read his copy, I'm like, God, this guy's good. He's just good at what he does.
Refer back to the beginning of the meeting when I mentioned getting hijacked into a dinner that was a surprise Amway Draw the Circles meeting. I hated it right up until I thought it was a great idea and joined. So is it one of those things where it's annoying, but maybe it's so effective you should consider it?
Yeah, I mean, you run the risk of alienating your audience, though. That's the problem with it. You alienate, or you also run the risk of what's called banner blindness. Is like, now Frank can send an email and it might be absolutely phenomenal, but I'm not going to read it. I've just become banner blind to his emails. Every once in a while, if I've got the time and I'm looking for some entertainment, instead of Netflix, I'll read one of his emails. and they're good. They really are good. And I learned from
file just in case I want to, in case when I have to write an email, I keep his in a file and I go read through a couple of his, then I write mine.
Yeah. And Perry, if you've ever been on Perry Belcher's list, his are probably even better. The guy is just a phenomenal copywriter. So, but yeah, I just look at those long ones. If it's in a sequence of a marketing campaign, then I get it. And I've seen Frank do that. I've seen Frank run some long email copy in a sequence. But what it is, here's how he does it. He does it based on the product launch formula. And all of the precursors to it are very short. They're very concise. They're just teasing you, telling you what's coming. And then the first one comes. And it's a long one, but it's loaded with valuable information. And what it is, it's results in advance. He's giving you part of the program. So you're reading through it, you're learning, you are just all over it. It's like you can't get enough. And then you want the second one. And then he sends you the second one. It's the same thing. And what he's doing, he's giving you results in advance. He's walking you down the timeline. He's throwing your interest level through the roof. And he's prepping you for the last steps are going to be really expensive. And the more he gives you, the more valuable the last steps become. So in that manner, that's following the product launch formula. And, in that case, long copy works. But just to send it out on a day-to-day basis, that's just painful. That's just abusive. My opinion, just purely my opinion on that one. I can't really say, one way or another because I haven't tested it, nor would I.
A quick comment on what you just said about the Kern methodology, and you've given the example before, but it strikes me almost as in a prior lifetime, I used to watch American Idol, and Ryan Seacrest and that format was famous for tally up who's going to get voted off, right? And
Anticipation.
then right at the moment that the reveal, pull it up, and we'll tell you right after the break, and they go to break.
Yep.
And for me, it was annoying, not just because you have to sit through commercials, but the momentum's gone. They come back and they try to rebuild it, but for me, it's gone.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
and usually it's a letdown anyway.
Well, if you're into it, you're following your person makes it through or whatever.
Yeah.
But let's say that in this scenario, like you're watching ABC or NBC, right? You're watching NBC, let's say, and they're doing this reality, and then they're like, who's going to get eliminated? And we're going to tell you right after the break, right? So then they go to break, then they come out of commercial and they say, we're going to tell you, but now you have to subscribe to Peacock Plus. So dial up. And so how does Frank Kern give you free information? He's dripping these emails out, free information, and then suddenly say, now I'm not going to give you any more information. You have to go. How do you make that transition and not just piss people off?
Oh, no. He pre-frames it right from the get-go. He absolutely pre-frames it. He gives you the big idea right up front. He gives you the promise. He gives you the delivery mechanism, and mass control is a perfect example. And then he said, what I'm going to do, we're not actually releasing this till the end of the week, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how cool this is. And I'm going to give you the first few things so you can actually experience it. And then you get the first email and you learn some tremendous stuff. And it's just like, holy shit. And then he cuts it off. It goes to commercial. So we'll be back tomorrow with part 2. So you're looking, you're waiting, you're anticipating that part 2 email. And you're almost like, you keep clicking. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? You are indoctrinated. You are all in, just like you watching the shows. Like, and we started watching a good one, Temptation Island, which you might like that one. It's pretty freaking awesome. But same thing, they build that anticipation. And I've always said, if you want to learn how to do that, watch TV before the 11 o'clock news. They come on with these trailer or whatever they call them, these teasers to get you to stay up for the 11 o'clock news. And the thing that you're waiting for is at the end of the news, and it's always a letdown. But they got you to stay. They're hype. They're so good at getting you to do something. Mm-hmm. They made you take an action you didn't want to do. And they do it over and over and over. They're so good at it. You can learn so much by picking it apart, saying, what did they just do to me? And why did it work? That there's a lot to be learned from that. So, but it's really, it's all about what somebody wants. Like this is, watching these shows, it's entertainment. We get emotionally involved, and we want our person to win or whatever. And it's that you got to want something for this to work. Like if Frank put out the 4 emails and he didn't get you to want it in the beginning, you would never, none of that would work. Yeah. So
the trick is you break down the steps to getting the goal, and you define the goal and you make sure it's something people want. Great.
Yep.
And you understand that there's actually many steps and many impediments for the average person to get there. Then you compartmentalize those into courses or offerings, and you take them on the path. And the question is, assuming that you want the attainment of the goal to be something for which people will expend a decent amount of money, how then, what parts do you choose to be free? What parts do you choose to be low cost to get initial engagement? And then how do you ramp them up?
There's no right answer for that. What Frank does with his is he'll give you 90% for free. And then he'll charge you a lot of money for the last 10%. That's one model. The other model is like Ryan Dice and Perry Belcher have a thing they call the tripwire. They'll sell you a $7 thing in the beginning to move you up to a $197 thing, to a $497 thing, to then probably a high level thing. And a lot of times they'll do what Craig does is they'll have a live event in the middle and they'll sell the high ticket thing at the live event. So there's a lot of different models to that. It kind of depends on what you're selling and, you know, how many different layers you have through it. Some people only have one thing to sell. And then at that point, the rest of your funnel becomes affiliates, or it should. You look for what do they need next. It's always about what they need next. If you can fill a small timeline, get them to that place on the timeline now changes. If you've got another product that begins the timeline when they've fulfilled the last one, that's perfect. If you don't, you find somebody that does, and you just keep the timeline going. You know, that's where you get a lifetime value out of a client, is figuring out, anticipating what is their next timeline. So, and anything else, Roger, before I give you
We've been going a while. I want to get people off.
Okay. So here I'm going to end this one with some anticipation of, I can show you the biggest, baddest, best possible variation of this or example of this that I've ever seen next week. So
Put that in the email.
I bet you'll be back next week.
Thank you, John Seacrest.
Good one, John.
Yeah, there you go. So remind me next week to tell you about Eben Pagan's funnel.
Eben Pagan, or put Eben Pagan's the baddest funnel I've ever seen, and then tune in on the email headline for you know, the mentoring.
Yeah, it was
Eben Pagan.
It was actually the first online funnel I ever saw, and I was at a crossroads with where I wanted to go, whether I wanted to promote someone else's stuff and make a bunch of money, or go into the commercial world and be a mercenary for companies. And he didn't have an affiliate program yet, didn't even know what it was at the time. So I took the other fork in the road. And he went on to create an affiliate program for him that made about $20 million a month. So you'll want to see that example of that funnel that makes 20 million a month. I think it's still working.
Yeah.
And we'll reveal that on this show next week.
Tune in.
God, you guys are starting to make me sound like a salesperson. I gotta go.
Exactly. We're gonna see you in a little while on the Crypto Club.
Yeah.
See ya. Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a great week, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
John.
everybody. Good to see y'all.